What does 10 years mean to me? First off, I can't believe it's been 10 years since we started the company. It flew by, but on the other hand, it feels like it was 100 years ago since we started the business in the garage. A lot of satisfaction, a lot of hard work by a lot of different people. We started out wanting to design a launch monitor that measured exit velocity and launch angle, and back then, this was pre-StatCast, well before StatCast. We didn't even know what launch angle was. It wasn't even coined. The term wasn't even coined. So, seeing that evolve into what it is now, where, when we first introduced it, no one knew what to do with it. But what's a lot of satisfaction with respect to now it's a standard. This technology you can't do without now. So from the neighborhood batting cage all the way up to MLB teams, this has become a standard. So a lot of satisfaction. We kind of had some vision with this before we knew what we were doing, but we wanted to get these players engaged. We wanted stats. We wanted, all of this, and so it's kind of proud. 10 years, and it's a big moment. It's a big milestone for us. So how do we start the business? Good question. Really, it comes down one day. I was working in the biomechanics field where we were contacted by a few professors at Brown University. They were doing a baseball bat study. They wanted to compare the exit velocities of baseballs struck off of aluminum versus a wooden bat. So, back then, this is before BB core, and a lot of kids were getting hurt. It was that trampoline effect of these aluminum bats that just weren't regulated. So they had, these balls were coming in, and the trampoline effect would just bounce this ball out, and kids, especially pitchers and maybe even third basemen, they had a lot less reaction time because the exit velocities were really climbing. So we did a study. I was hired to do that study. I was working for a biomechanics company, cameras and all that. And I was there that day, and they brought in some minor league players, a couple I played with in Legion Ball and in college. We put 6-7 cameras around. The system cost about $100,000. I had to wrap up the baseballs. Everything was post-processed. Nothing was in real time. But, you could see that the guys, the players, yeah, that went 420, and that went, no one really knew exit velocity then, so they didn't say, oh, that went 100 miles an hour, but that went 400, that went this, that went, and just, that was the day that HitTrax was born. We'd see kids, 10, 12 years old, kicking the soccer ball, playing dodgeball, running around, doing everything but baseball. And that really struck a chord with me. It was like, wow, and you hear about Little League and the numbers, of participation falling off after 12. And first off, I love the sport, love baseball. I played my whole life, very, very passionate about it. It's one of my few passions besides my family is baseball. And I'm very much a stat geek or stat head. So we were designing this for exit velos and launch angles and stuff like that, because we kind of knew that was important. But what that showed me was these kids running around with soccer balls and dodgeballs and stuff like that. Kind of showed me that, we needed to make these kids fall in love with the sport that, I love so much. So, one of the things that we took away from that, and it was part of our mission statement, was to really get these kids engaged in the sport again, fall in love with the sport again. And that's why you saw right from the start from HitTrax that it just wasn't going to be some numbers popping up and a typical launch monitor saying you hit the ball 82 miles an hour at this degree and it went this distance. We wanted to make this fun for the kids. So that's why you saw the gaming module. That's when you saw hitting in Fenway Park or hitting in Yankee Stadium right from the start with us, because that was part of our mission statement, was to get these kids to fall in love with the game again. It evolved a great deal. So when we first started, like I said, we were in the garage. I quit my day job after unit number 4. I met with someone in North Carolina, one of our early customers. I think it was like our 7th or 8th customer. And he was the first one that really understood the stats like I envisioned. And he convinced me, it's like, you don't know what you have here. You know, it's like this could be revolutionary. You know, people want this data, or they will want this data. I quit my job that Monday. I think I was there on a Saturday. I quit my job on the Monday, and it was me, Yuri doing the programming. He was still working full time. Tom was doing some marketing on the side. And the first year I built systems in my basement. I had a 3-year-old girl at the time, little girl, and she would come down in the basement and help me put the systems together. I'd carry them upstairs and ship them out, and then follow them and install them and support them and sell more. And it drove me, you know, I did that for a year or two, and it's evolved now where, you know, where we support, you know, I don't know, 25 different families. We have that many employees here, and it's filled with passionate people that love the sport, love what they're doing. So it's evolved from being in my garage in my basement up until, you know, being here and having thousands and thousands of systems out there, and having worldwide presence, and having, I think, over 1 billion hits right now on our database. So we've actually recorded 1 billion, not a million, 1 billion hits in our database, which is mind-boggling. So yeah, it's evolved, man, and it's been a lot of fun, you know, taking this ride. A lot of different challenges along the way, but it's been a lot of fun. I don't want to say, you know, I love all of our customers, the MLB teams and all, but I really get a lot of satisfaction from the baseball academies. These are people that, you know, just like me, they started a business and they wanted to stay in the game, and you know, it's a tough business. There's a lot of hours and stuff like that. We've been able to give them a tool to increase their business. Favorite memories? Okay, a couple, I guess. So being a huge fan of the sport, I've been able to meet with all of the MLB teams, which was really cool. I've been able to meet with some players that were kind of, you know, on my favorite teams. So I've been able to meet with them. One person that, if you ask me, who was that one person that kind of, you got a little fanboy, a little shock, it was Bo Jackson. We sold the system early on to Bo Jackson's Dome in Chicago, and I'm walking through, and all of a sudden I look over, and I'm like, they have like a little vestibule in the dome, and I'm in that little vestibule, and I look over, and it's Bo, and I'm like, I was speechless. You know, Bo Jackson, man, that's going to be one of the best athletes ever to be on the face of this earth. So that got me starstruck. So that was a pretty cool moment. We know what's really cool though is some of my early customers, I would meet their children, 10 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, or whatever, and they come in and they love the sport, and I would challenge them. Okay, I want to see 70 miles an hour. I want to see 75 miles an hour. I want to see 80. And they used to send me texts all the time, you know, showing them right next to the score and putting a thumbs up. And I can think of about 4 or 5 of these players. And watching them through the years, and having them go through high school and having them get scholarships. One of them, I just found out last week, his very first at-bat, his very first pitch at a D1 school, an Ivy League D1 school, he hit a home run. And this is someone I met at 10 years old, and I challenged him to, to progress as a hitter. That just, to me, when I always get those texts from the players, that to me is really satisfying. And you know, they grew up using the system. I thought that's really cool. You know, over the years, the past 10 years, you know, we couldn't have done this. You know, I had this idea like 20 years ago. I don't even know what it was. I think it was 20 years ago. In my 20s, I had this idea from that project with Brown University. And in order for us to get where we are now, and the success that we've had, it's just been, you know, the team that we put together, I can't thank enough. The sales team, the engineers, the marketing people, you know, the customers, my God, especially the early adopters. They were so kind. They just gave us so much feedback, and we implemented it, and it just built up to what it is today. So really, the customers, I really thank your faith in us and your loyalty. You come back and order a second or a third or even a fourth system. You know, we want to support you guys. That's one of the things that I preach, is we're going to support everything that you guys do.